Hi, I'm Nikisha and this is Nikiti Workshop. Today I'm going to walk through the process of making a 3D printed basic keychain. I'm going to show you from start to finish, from design all the way to print. We're going to use a free software, a few free software to make this design. The first one we're going to start with is Affinity by Canva. It's now 100% free. There's some features that are paid on there, which I think is like AI and stuff like that to do remove background, generative fill. I think that's you pay for Canva subscriptions and then pay for Canva premium and you can get those features. But the features that we're going to be using is totally free. We're also going to use Inkscape, and I use Inkscape to make sure of the sizing for the next step after that. I still can't figure out the setting in Affinity where once I export it as a SVG, it stays in that size and orientation. So we're going to lean on Inkscape for that. The next software that we're going to use is called FreeCAD. I think it's a big learning curve. So the little that I've learned so far, to able to do what I can do, I'm going to show you. Of course, this is my experience, and they probably have other methods out there that's probably quicker and easier than what I'm using. So if anything like that show up, just put in the comments what your suggestion is or what I could do better next time. Then once we generate the file in the STL file, we're going to do a 3MF. When we get through it, I'll tell you which one it is we're going to save it as. We're going to export it as a 3MF or STL, which we're going to put it in the splicer of your choice. I have a Creality printer, 3D printer, so I will be using the Creality Print splicer to do the 3D print. So let's get into it. Okay, so now we're going to start with the design. So I'm going to open Affinity. I'm skipping all the steps of like downloading and installing all these software. Please do that beforehand so you can get to this point. So I'm going to do file new to create a new file. Since this is going to be a keychain, I have some defaults set in here. I set my artboard document to 3x3 because it's a keychain. I usually make my keychains around 2 inches, 2.5 on the longest side. I leave it as RGB 8, and I like working with a transparent background, especially if I'm working with colors or using white. I prefer to see the actual design, so I always use a transparent background. So I'm going to create the document. All right, here we have our artboard. So I'm going to save this file early. So we're going to call it, let's find, I have a folder already set up for star because we're going to do a star keychain. So where are you? Star. So let's call this a star keychain design. Okay, so we're gonna click on this icon here and we're gonna look for the star tool. So I'm holding down shift and I'm using the mouse to come up with the shape because I want it to be even, all the shape of it. Actually I didn't have to click and drag, so I'm going to go up into the properties and put 2. I want to make sure that it's a chain linked so that it's even all the way around. So now we have a 2-inch star. I'm going to keep adjusting the size again once we finish the design. So I like to do like a little cute kawaii star. So I don't want these edges to be pointed. There's a way that actually, if you hit on this button here, I think for the nodes, what it says, node tool. Click on the node tool, and then right now you could either play with it rounding like that, which is not what I wanted. You can also play with how your star shape is, so you can do that. I'm gonna make like a that's more pointed, or that's a regular shape, or if you want to do like that. I think for the design I'll keep it like that. Since I'm not gonna change anything else, that's a different shape too they could play with. No, I'm gonna do it differently. So this is what I'm gonna do. Since I'm not making any other changes to the star, I'm gonna do right click and convert to curves. Once you convert it to curves, that whole 3 dots to modify the star is gonna go away. So do convert to curves and see they're all gone. So these are all now, it's a final design in a sense, and these are all now points. What I want to do is play with the corner. So for the corner tool, I'm going to select the corner tool on the left. I'm going to highlight all the points because I want to do a curve on them. So see, now all the curves are going to be around the same, which is what I wanted to do, which is different to the design that they had before. So I'm going to leave it like that. Hit the select tool or select or move tool. And then now we have our little star shape. Again, I wanted to convert to curves. So now it locked in that curve feature that we had added to the original star. So now this size, if you look, it's at 1.5. I'm going to raise it again to 2 because I want it to be 2 inches. All right, so I'm trying to center it a little bit. So we're gonna change the color of the star. I click on my color palette. I want to change the color to a yellow in the middle for the fill. Let's do like, I think this is a good little orange yellow fill. Now for the star, I want it to have a black outline. So we're gonna add a stroke to it. So the stroke, I realize with the 3D print, depending on the size that you're working with, you want to make certain like the outlines to be really nice and thick and stand out, so it looks better when you're printing. If you want to define, if it's too small, it doesn't print properly. Exact measurement or dimension, I'm not sure yet. Once I get to figure out what the minimum is, I'll let you guys know. But it's kind of like trial and error at this point. And then what looks good with the design. I like to do all of this now so that I export it as an XVG. There's a way to add like an offset within FreeCAD. I tried it before and it doesn't work consistently with me, so I'm not about to fight with the software to try to figure it out. So I'm putting like all the outlines now in the SVG file, so when I carry over into FreeCAD, I just extrude. There are a little more steps to it, but basically you're going to extrude to the thickness that you need and you're kind of good to go. I'm not fighting with the machine to figure out offsets and Z. Like I said, real basic. I'm still learning it, so we're going to get there eventually at some point. Anyways, so I want to put a black outline with a star. So we're going to add a stroke. And it's a black stroke. So I'm thinking, I think about 5 is looking good. Nice, solid. Doesn't really take away from the design. So I'm going to use a 6-point stroke. I want to make sure that it's set to the cap is curved. I still want it to be, actually I could put it as on the out edge. Yeah, let's put it on the outside so I don't have to worry about cutting. So here's the thing, when you carry it over into FreeCAD, when you do it as a SVG, if you do it a line where it's centered like that, Eventually you'd have to cut out this black part from the yellow, which is hidden behind. So if you want to reduce that step, I advise you to do it with alignment where the stroke is outside of your design. So you're not playing with the cutting into your yellow part to get that solid black outline. Again, I'm going to be adjusting the size once we finish because I want to make sure the keychain stay around 2 inches. So if you notice, whatever it measures now is the yellow outline of the design. It doesn't take into account the outline or the stroke that we're putting on right now. So again, we're going to adjust it. So this looks good to me. I'm going to leave it like that. I tend to leave scale with objects. So if I decide to resize it, if I'm not expanding the stroke, which we're going to do in the next step, if you want that stroke size to stay consistent the way it looks right now, no matter how small or how big you do your design, you'd have to check the scale with objects so that it remembers that. Yeah, that's all we're gonna mess with here. So we have our stroke. Like I mentioned, I put it on the outside. I have to worry about subtracting and all of that to get it into the design. The thing is, you don't want each different color elements, you don't want it to overlap when you're doing the 3D print, and it's gonna cause an error because it's like you're printing over existing space. Each color needs to be in its own space when you're 3D printing. So we're gonna, this is a stroke right now. We want to convert this to a fill, that stroke outline, because it's not gonna get recognized once you export it as a SVG. So you're gonna right click, and then you want to expand the stroke. So when you do that, if you do command, I'm on a Mac, so if you do a command and Y, you can see now this is a solid, fill, and this is a fill as well. So let me undo it so you could see. Right now we're in command Y. The stroke, as you can see, is present, but it's not recognized as a fill. It's a stroke. It's like a design effect. It's not a final as the star is. So we want to right click, expand the stroke so that that fill stays consistent, and it's now, sorry, that black outline is not a stroke anymore, but it's an actual object. It's a fill. So let's change that back, command Y. So now we have the two main parts of our design. It's actually can be separated. We want to keep it together. I would like to install the cutout right now. So, oh, wait, before I get to that, let's change the size for everything. I just did command A to select all, and I want to resize it back to 2 inches on the longest part. So the size holes that I use in my keychain, I think they're about 0.1 inch. So we're gonna put, I like to have the hole in the design itself instead of have it being out as an attach for the keychain. So I'm gonna look for, click on that to look for the ellipse tool. On the side, we're gonna hold on shift, click and drag to keep it consistent and not to keep it like a full equal circle. So we need to remove the stroke from that, and then the fill color doesn't matter because we're gonna cut it out of the design. So this size of the hole, like I mentioned, I want it to be 0.1 inch, and it didn't pick it because I did a point. We need to do 0.1. So this, I'm gonna make it, swap it so it's a black fill, and we want to put that, I think this is a good spot. So we're gonna select the two objects, the circle that we just put on top, and actually you could select all, and we could make sure that it is centered. It should be centered. Yep. So now we're gonna select the inner star and the circle, and then you could either straight up pick one of these. I always forget which one to select. So what I do is I do divide. select off of it, click on what I want to remove and hit delete. So now I just created a 0.1 hole in the middle of it. That hole is actually pretty big. I think that's a big hole, the 0.1, but I'll leave it for now. Should be big enough to take a jump ring, and we'll test it out. If we need to, I have to redesign everything to change that. We'll work with this one, the 0.1. All right, so here we are. We have the design with the star. Oh, I said I wanted to be a cute little star, so let's add eyes, a mouth, and some little cute little cheeks. So again, we're gonna do the eclipse. We're gonna add, let's do an oval eyes. I use V to select this, the, what do you call it? Move tool. I call it the select tool, but the move tool. So we're gonna do 2 eyes. Actually, before we do that, let's just make it a simple black eye. We're gonna do a hold command and duplicate, drag over and release. So now we have 2 eyes. Let's make sure those are aligned. We select both, and then we want to do the sideways align, so they're aligned. So we want to make that center a little bit. I like to group the eyes together. I'm gonna convert these to curves. Let's see if that worked. Sometimes you have to do them individually. Oh yeah, okay, it did work. Convert to curves. Yeah, it did work. Okay, so one shortcut key, if you want to go into the node mode, you press A. If you want to go into the move or select mode, you press V. So now we have these being centered in about space equally. Let's put it lower. That looks good. And then we're gonna do a smile. I'm gonna do a smile or open mouth. Let's do an open mouth smile. So we're gonna do eclipse tool, and then I'm going to select the rectangle tool and just do half. V to select the move. I'm gonna do the divide. Actually, let's do the subtract, and then now we have that bottom half. So now we have like a little happy mouth, an open mouth smile. Doesn't that look cute? So, do we want to add the cheeks? If we add a little cute pink cheeks, let's see, we're gonna use an oval. Let's do a sideways eclipse like that. Make sure this is good. It's already curves. This, we're gonna change that color to like a pink. We're gonna do not a stroke, but we need a pink fill. Probably like a pastel pink. There we go. Like a faint little pink underneath. Does that work? Sometimes it looks cute. Other times I'm like, I don't know. I guess it does look cute. So we're gonna center, let's align it with the edge of the eye. There you go. And select these 2. Convert them to curves. V, and then we're gonna group those. Command G is a group, or you can, when you have it highlighted, the object selected, do a right click, and then you can click group. And there you go. So we have the eyes, the mouth, and the cute little cheeks. And then if you want, so remember I told you each object has to be in its own, each color has to be in its own space. Right now, if I move this, it's not cut through the layers with the inner body. That's what we call it, background, the yellow part. So if you know at this point you want to do like a double-sided keychain, so no matter how you turn it, it's gonna be, the face is gonna through all the way through. So if you flip it back and forth, it's going to be a smiley face, whether it's front or back. We can do it that way. Or if you want it to be one-sided, so the back part is full yellow, but it's one side have the face, you would leave it like this. If you know for sure you're going to do straight back and through, you should actually divide all this out so that there's no overlap with the face onto the body, like what we did with the outline. There's no yellow behind it. It's easier to do that now than later in the software, and I'll probably show you both methods actually. You know what? I'll show the other method in another time, how to do a black background. I want to keep this video real simple and easy. So we're going to make a keychain where it goes all the way through. And I don't want to complicate things right now. So we're going to select the face, the mouth, the cheeks, and the background. So we are going to do divide. So we're going to select all of it. So we shouldn't have any overlap. See, it cuts out there. The eyes are still separate. The mouth. So we see there's nothing behind there. There's no yellow behind there. We cut all the way through. And you can see all the group in here. Everything's all separate. We don't need to group again. Everything's separate. So now we're good to go, actually. And it's going to make sense when we get into the FreeCAD. So I like to select, remember to save. I'm going to select everything, and we're going to export it as a SVG. So export as SVG, select it there, and then we're going to hit export. I want to save this in the folder for star. So star keychain SVG, and hit save. And here we are. This is a SVG file, and this is the design file, Affinity design file. So I find it easier to do it this way. So I'm going to right click on the SVG, and then we are going to open with, and we're going to open with Inkscape. So when you do that, we have Inkscape here. So this design, if you click all and look at the size, we're going to put it in inches for now. So remember when I designed it, it was 2 inches at this largest. When I export it as a SVG, it's coming out at 8. And I think depends on the pixel setting. I'm just guessing. It comes up bigger than what it needs to be. So there's one thing to remember. I had a warm time figuring out the sizing when I start using FreeCAD, which is why I use Inkscape to fix this problem. Or the scaling, I should say, the scaling. So we want to make sure with the Inkscape file, because we're going to work in millimeters when we go into FreeCAD. You could work in inches if that's easier for you. I found all the videos that I was learning about FreeCAD, it was all in millimeters. So I'm going to stick with the millimeters so I'm not like disconnected. So if we do a conversion from 2 inches to millimeters, where's my calculator? So inches to millimeters, you're looking at 50.8 millimeters. So we're going to work from 2 inches. We're going to convert it to 50.8. I'm going to do 51. I'm going to round out a little bit because I would like to. I feel like it. So we're going to change this to millimeters, but the whole file, the whole document needs to be in the same units. because when you bring it over into FreeCAD, you're gonna have problems. I'm telling you from experience, there's gonna be problems. So I changed it here to millimeters. I'm gonna lock that. But before we do anything, we want to change the document file to millimeters. So like I said, I'm on Mac. You're gonna go File, Document Properties, and then here where it says Custom Format, Custom, you're gonna pick millimeters. So you have to hold and drag it. Don't hold, click off. I'm telling you. Hold it, click, hold to the units that you want, and then release when you're on the units. I would like to work with a smaller document size, so I'm gonna say 100 because my design is gonna be 50 on the longest end. So 100 millimeters width, 100 millimeters height. I'm keeping a transparent background because that's what I like to work with. And then you're gonna hit this little X here to close out the diagram. Do not click this, it doesn't work. You need to click this X. Yes, from experience. All right, that X, it goes away. So we're gonna click on Layers and Objects tab. What did I do? Yeah, Layers and Objects. We're gonna open it out. All right, leave that over there. All right, we're gonna highlight this whole thing. Like I mentioned before, it's now saying 200. This little white box, that's the document size that we had set, which is what I said, 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. We're gonna select all of this, and then we're gonna put, I want the longest part, which is the biggest number, is the width in this case, to be 2 inches long. So we're gonna make it 50.8. I'm gonna round up to make it 51 millimeters. And then remember, we had locked this, so whatever size we change on one end is gonna automatically adjust for the other size. And you're gonna hit enter. I'm gonna scroll in, if I remember what scroll in button is. Oh, there we go, Control, there you go. So Control to scroll in. So now, remember when I mentioned we wanna make sure the size and orientation is correct? So when a SVG is pulled into FreeCAD, the 0 point is actually this point here on the upper left side of the document. So I'm gonna center the star over that 0 point, which is gonna be the 0 point when you pull it into FreeCAD. In order to do that, we're gonna highlight the object again. Remember, you wanna select everything because we're moving everything together. So what I do is the width is corresponding with the X and the height corresponds with the Y. The reason why I say that is whatever the width is, you're gonna come into here on the X, you're gonna do minus, I'm using 51, minus 51 divided by 2, and it's going to center that object on the X-axis based on your width. You're gonna do the same thing with the Y. So we're gonna do a minus. We have 48 point, what's that? 993. You're gonna divide it by 2 and hit enter. And here we are dead center with our object on that point on the artboard, the document. All right. And you could double check too. So like this arrow shows it's in the middle. See, it's in the middle up there. That arrow is in the middle. So we're good to go. And at this point, you just got to do save. You already imported the document as that file. You just want to save it. And it's going to save it as, what did I just do? I don't remember. Oh, what did I do? Okay. Oh, find replace. That's not what I want. Where did my object go? Oh, I opened a new document. I opened a new document 3 times. All right. Could clearly see I'm not fluent in Inkscape. All right, here we go. So Don't click that unless you have to. That's to open a new document. So we're gonna save, file save, Control or Command S to save, file and save. Yeah, Command S to file and save the document. So here we go. So it's saved as a SVG. I'm gonna just close this out. So now it looks funny. It's half, like I was telling you, SVG, and it's at the right size, document size. So now we're gonna open FreeCAD. I had it open. Like I said, there are many videos out there that shows you how to use FreeCAD. Please find them. There's some people are better than others. I'll probably link the one below as a resource for FreeCAD. I'll put it in the description below or in the comment section. I might put it in the comment section of the creators that I used to learn FreeCAD from. It's a good place to start. Anywho, we open FreeCAD. I'm gonna do right now I'd like to save. Right now it says on name. We're gonna save this brand new file. Let's do star folder. We're gonna save it as star keychain to keep it consistent. So we're gonna save that. So now it has star keychain. We are gonna import the SVG file. So we're gonna go File, Import. We're gonna import the SVG. Open. You wanna import SVG as geometry. Hit open. And here we are. We got a little star in an isometric view. So I usually try to turn it around so I could look on it face on. Remember, each point came in. We have our holes to do that's cut all the way through. We have our outline here. The yellow here is our little background. We got the eyes, the mouth, and the little cute cheeks. So, oh, what is this? I thought I'd convert these. So these are all paths. We're gonna see what happens when I go through with this. So there are different ways you can extrude. So you want to make sure what I found worked for me. I use the part option here, or the part mode. I forget what they call this, but you're gonna select part. There's some times where you have trouble with some of the steps I'm gonna show you. We're gonna go back into a draft mode to try fix it to export it. And the reason why I use part is that I don't need to create, depending on what setting you do. If you do part design, you have to create a body and then do an orientation and pick a side. The method that I'm showing you, you don't need to do all of that in order to extrude what you need. So I'm trying to do this real simple where I understand it and I can show you guys. So you're gonna make sure you're in part mode. So I'm gonna try. It might give me the error that I could show you in draft, which would be good, because then I could show you what to do to bypass it. So we're gonna start with, if you hover over, there's a setting where you could put in your settings where if you hover over the part, it highlights what the individual part is. So like we have the cheeks there. So we have the hole there. We have the mouth, the eyes, the other cheek. And then we have the outline. I think there are like two outlines here. Yeah, that's the outer circle of the star. This is the inner outline of the star. And then we have multiple ellipse. I'm gonna walk you through what it is. Some of these repeat because remember we had cut the eyes, the cheeks, and the mouth out of the body. So that's where you see that overlap with it, where it's repeating. So let's see if it's gonna let me do it. If I do extrude, we want to do 2 mils thick. You want to pay attention that this is +1. If it's a -1, you need to hit reverse, and what it does is when it extrude, it's gonna extrude up instead of down. Right now it's a +1. When it extrude, it's gonna extrude up. the axis instead of going down, which is negative. If I try to extrude and I hit OK, see, now we have an error. This is what I'm talking about. So it says there's an error. We can't just extrude it straight. There's sometimes you might be able to extrude a path straight. It's not letting me do it now, so I'm going to show you the other method of doing the extrusion. So we're going to close it out. And you know what, let's use that method all the way through. So now we're going to go to Part. We're going to pick Draft. So what happened now, we have to convert these paths into a sketch, and then we can extrude from the sketch out to the design or the 3D product. So this is the outside cheeks. I'm gonna start from the bottom because I think these from the bottom is the single ones. So I want to extrude. These are all going to be the same color because remember in our design, well, the cheeks are pink, so we want to extrude these together because they're different colors. That's how I'm doing them. The next group together, we're going to extrude all the black together. So like this outline plus the eyes and the mouth, we're going to extrude that as one color, and then we're going to extrude the yellow as a background after. All right, so like I said, we want to do the cheeks together, so that's one cheek, two cheek. So we're going to select both. I did Command and click on the two of them. So when you do, so you could have extruded them individually, like not extrude, sorry. You select one and you could create a sketch from it individually. I'm creating the sketch together to make it one object. So to make them one object, I want these two to be, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see, isometric. And then I'm going to fit all. So we're going to select these two, and then you want to hit this little symbol here that says draft to sketch. So you're going to press that. And what happened, it leaves a path, but it created a sketch here. So if you don't rename this, you're going to have like sketch 1, sketch, then it's sketch 001, sketch 002. And then there'll be a lot of sketches and you're not sure what it is. I like to rename them when it happened. So I'm going to right click and hit rename. And then I'm going to leave it as sketch, but I'm going to say sketch cheeks, for example. And hit enter. The two that I just used to create the cheeks, I'm going to put them to sleep. So I'm going to select two of the, I call them sleep. You're going to make them invisible. The eyes are open. I'm going to close the eyes. I'm going to put them to sleep. So you're going to select those two and then you hit the space bar to not make them visible. You could do toggle visibility too by clicking right click and pressing that. But space bar is the easy shortcut to remember. So their eyes are closed. They're not visible. You put them to sleep with a space bar. The next one we have is the mouth. I1, I2, and then as outline 1, path 2. So then there's this that we're gonna do last. So let's group the mouth, your path, which is the mouth, eyes 1, eyes 2 selected, and then we want to do the inner star and the outer star. So all of that selected, we're going to make that one object because they're the same color. We're going to do draft to sketch. So see, it kept the sketch 001. So this is highlighted already, so I'm gonna hit the space bar to put them to sleep. So here, I'm gonna put that to sleep. You could click on the eye as well, and it puts it to sleep. So this is a sketch. This one we want to rename. Let's do black, because they're the black outline. It's a sketch back for the outline. I want to put that to sleep. Oh, it went away. I'm gonna need that. Okay, so we're gonna put that to sleep. So actually, I'm gonna need this path again to do the next step. So remember I said before we're doing the background now. Oh no, I don't need this actually. We're doing the background, which is an inner piece. And so we have, this is where we had cut out the cheeks, the mouth, the eyes, and we have the cutter in top. That's what's left. So that's cheek 1, eyes, second eyes, the mouth. We have the hole on top. What is this? The second cheek, and then we have the background itself. So you want to select all of these, and then you want to hit the draft. So now these are highlighted. We're going to hit spacebar. And then now you see what's left is just the sketch. So we're going to rename this sketch. See, all of it is highlighted. You're going to rename this sketch, and let's call it background. Okay. Here we have the background. So now if you turn it off, we covered everything. Because now I made sure, so we're not overlapping, we keep track of what we're doing. Whatever we're not using, we put it to sleep. So now the next step I like to do is to organize it a little bit. So I'll click on the blue folder, and then I'm going to rename this blue folder path. And then what I'm going to do, you could delete these if you want. I've learned when I've made a mistake and I need to go back to the start, I'm going to need those paths. So I'm just going to organize them and keep them in a nice little folder where when I do make a mistake, I can go back to pull those in instead of importing the SVG and all of that. It's already here. The position is already set because I create the path from what was there. So I don't like to delete. So I'm going to leave it there in a nice little neat folder. All right. So let's activate all of these. So let me see what's going on. So here's the cheeks. Like I said, that's one color. The next outline that's the black, and then we have the background. So it looks like it overlap, but it's not. You're gonna see everything. It's gonna make sense in a little bit. So we want to change the mode to part. Remember, not part design. You want to do part, because with part you don't have to worry about orientation or what axis you're on. We're gonna keep it simple for this. All right. So now we have the sketch, we can extrude from the sketch. So we want to let's start with the cheeks so we can see what's going on. So you're going to select the cheeks sketch and you want to hit extrude. So we hit extrude. I'm thinking of making the keychain about 2 millimeters thick. You could change that when you go into the splicing software, but let's work with 2 millimeters right now. So I hit 2 millimeters. Make sure this, like I mentioned, is positive and not negative. Since it's positive, we don't have to select anything else. We're just gonna hit OK. So now it highlights. You think nothing happened, right? But remember, we're looking from the top view. If you hit like the little box here, now you see at the angle, we have a 2 millimeter thick cheeks. So cute. And then if you do front, so this is a plate. Remember I said plus minus? It's +1, so it's going to extrude up. If it was minus, it's going to extrude down. And then we need to flip that because that's going to cause other problems later. You don't need that. So you want them to be at the same level, starting and then going up all together. So let's go back to the top view. And then if you hit the little box and do fit all, you can zoom it in like that. All right, so now we're gonna extrude the outline on the backs. So you select that and you're gonna do extrude. So what should happen here, everything that's in the green should be extruded if I did this right. All right, so we're gonna do 2 millimeters. This is plus, we're gonna click OK. So it did do it. So we grouped these all together. Remember, we selected all of them together. So that's how we wanted to extrude it together. All right. So we have the black outline like this. We have the eyes and the mouth. Again, if you want to check if it did right, see they're extruded. If you want to go to the front, everything's on the same level. There's nothing poking out, which is great. This is all you want to see. All right. Now we're going to extrude. Oh, what I forgot to mention, this was the cheeks. If you want, you could rename. See how it says extrude 1, extrude 2? If you're doing multiple extrusions, you won't know what is what. You have to hover over it. So we're going to rename this. I like to keep the extrude part. And then I'm going to call it cheeks. So similar to... Did I spell the other one wrong? Similar to the other one, didn't I? So if you open it out, I did write checks. It's supposed to be cheeks. All right, so cheeks. See, inside when you open it out, it shows where the base thing is. We started with a sketch called cheeks, and then we extrude from that one to get this. So that's another way to check what you actually extrude, because it's buried down into the different levels of the file. So it's the same thing here. See, we extruded black because we extruded all the parts that were black. That's what I decided to call it. So we're going to rename this part, and to match the sketch part, we're going to say extrude black. So it's a little consistent. So we know what we're looking at. Now the background, again, if I did this right, the way that we selected everything else that's empty here except for this spot is going to be extruded because we selected it together as one path. It's only going to extrude, it's going to overlap. Everything else that is selected, it figures it out, and we're going to extrude that part as a solid object. Already divided. You don't have to go through and cut. You don't have to do any boolean, which is why when I set up the SVG file, we make sure to do it beforehand because we want to have this double-sided all the way through. So we're going to select the sketch. We're going to hit extrude. Same thing as before. Check, make sure that's a +1. We're going to put 2 millimeters because we want them all to be the same level. This is where too, if you wanted to like the background to be down, if you're doing like a single-sided and you want the background to recess, but you want like the outline and the eyes to pop out, you can adjust the height of the extrusion in that case. But I'm wanting it all to be one flat level because this is going to be a double-sided keychain. So we're going to do 2 millimeters. That's positive. We don't need to mess with reverse. And then we're just going to click OK. And now everything's there. See, we have the whole cutout like we wanted. We have, here we are, the outline. So how are we going to check this? So again, we're going to change the view a little bit. See, we have the different colors here. And if you notice the color here, this is because we extruded from an SVG. Remember, we colored the SVG when we brought it in. So now it's reflecting the color when you extrude it. Because we did it based on the SVG file. It's just pretty cool. Your colors might be different. I think I was playing with the settings and I decided to change this color. I don't remember what I did to do that, but I think I did this. I picked this color for extrusion, and then this other colors, it's supposed to be black. It shows up as that weird color. Alright, what I was saying is we're gonna get to the front, see everything's there. If you want to double check we're gonna do this angle. If you want to double check if everything is extruded right, if anything overlap, it would give like this like a sheenish color where it shows that like one extrusion is built into the other. I might I don't know to show it now because everything cut clean all the way through. Oh, all right, let's go through that later. So if you hit the eye, see I didn't rename it. So rename extrude background. That's what I said, name it so you can know what you're clicking on. So I just removed the background. So background removed, that's that one. Extrude the eyes and the outline, see all that's gone, there's nothing behind it, and here we have the cheeks being gone. We can do on top. So there you go. So this is basically done at this point. So now we want to export it so that our splicer can process it. So you want to select, this is how I do it. You select all the components that we extruded because you want it to be exported so that we can pull it into our splicer. You're going to select the extruded objects that you want to export. At one time, you're going to go File and click Export. Now we're already in the folder star. I'm going to keep it star keychain. So if you want to keep, remember what we just had, it had the colors in there, a little bit of that property. You want to save it as a 3MF if you want to keep those colors consistent when you pull it into the splicer. You could save it as a STL, but when you do that, all those color properties are going to be stripped away. So it's just going to be like outline going in. It's still going to have the components defined, but I find it easier to bring it in as a 3MF because it comes in with a little bit of the color properties that goes in there. I'm sure there are other reasons for it, but this one works for me. But you could do it as a 3MF, or because we're doing the splicer, where is it? You could do select STL. This is STL. You could pick that one. But I like working with the 3D 3MF because that's what we're going to use mainly. So we're going to save that. All right. So now, and then, yeah, save, of course. So now we're going to go to our Creality Print. You could use the splicer of your choice for your 3D printer. Like I said, I have a Creality High that I'm going to be printing on. So I'm going to use Creality Print. So we're going to go into Prepare. I already have my CFS, which is the multi-spool printing system set up. I have 2 of them. Already have it loaded with the colors. Most of these are Creality Hyper PLA. I also have Sunlu in here. I think the Sunlu is a pink. This is supposed to be beige. That's the closest color I could pick. So that's beige, that's pink. Those are Sunlus. Everything else is the Creality PLA. And it's the one that has the RFID. So once I load the spool in there, it automatically picks up the color and the type of spool that it is because it has an RFID to recognize it. The pink and the beige, I had to manually put it in on the Creality High because it's a different generic PLA. It doesn't have the information. I digress. So I have it set to the 0.4 nozzle. We are going to import the 3MF file. So let's import. We're looking at the star. Here's that 3MF file that we had saved previously. We're gonna click on that and hit open. So it has an error here that is too close. I still print it and it was fine because of how the colors are back to back. All right, it's still okay. So we have the image here, the design. It looks like nothing brought in, but it should be here. You want to click on global objects, and here we have the 3 designs. So it has an eye as well. We want to close the eye. So now see, we took away the cheeks. Here we have the black outline, and then what's left open is the body. Now I want this object to be, I'm gonna change the colors. So let's open these back up so you could see. Here we have the, what I said this was, the inside. So let's make this yellow. Oh, I have to load it. So let's change it. We're not using beige, so I want to load the yellow. We are using black. The others could stay. Oh, we do need the pink for the cheeks, so that stays. So we're gonna do, what's that? This is the cheeks. We're gonna make that pink. This was the outline. So this one, remember we made all the blacks one color. We're gonna change that to black. Yeah, and then what's left behind that we have is a yellow. So it's gonna be a yellow inner. We have the hole here, so nothing should print there because it's a hole. And we have the eyes and the mouth. So we're gonna go back, that's object properties, so you can assign the colors. I'm gonna go to global. Most of this is gonna stay the same. Of course, if you're familiar with 3D printing, please use your own setting. We don't have any overhangs, so we don't need to put supports. I like to change the top surface to rectilinear. What does nice though, I like the Archimedean coils. So what it does like a swirling pattern that you can do on the top surface and also on the bottom. But I'm gonna keep it basic. I'm gonna do rectilinear here, and I just make everything rectilinear. Because it's a keychain, I'll leave it at 15% fill. There's nothing structural going on here. Plus you'll save on spool and time. Time is important. And then I like to change the internal fill to rectilinear as well. Like I said, we're gonna ignore this. It's close, but it still prints. It'll be fine. I usually don't change anything else. Like I said, it's just a basic keychain, nothing structural. It should print just fine, and we save on time. You want to make sure that it is on the bed, and it is. It might give you an error where you might have to orient, but I don't think it will, because we made sure, remember when we did that whole +1, it's not reverse, it's not off the axis, so everything should be flat and even coming in. I don't mess with anything else. Like I said, we don't have any overhangs, so you don't need to do a support. If you want to look at how it looks on the back, you can turn it around, see what's on the bottom is the same that's on the top. If it was one-sided, however, like if you had one side that was solid yellow and then you have the eyes being on one side, then I would recommend that you flipped it so that it prints with the face down. So it has a nice little finish when you print it face down, instead of having like the lines on the back. You could do ironing. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, you could iron it. I think it looks fine on the back end too. Yeah, if you want that top end once you finish to be smoother, you could do ironing. I think it's fine, like I said, if you just pick like one of these, the bottom surface pattern, the top surface pattern. If you do like the rectilinear or the not rectilinear is good, or if you do the Archimedes cards, it give like the design of the spiral pattern. You could play with it once you print it. This is just gonna have like a basic X. Let me I'll show it here. No, I did recliner. I did the Archimedes cards for that because this was round. We'll play with it. Once we print it, you'll work with it when it comes out. You could change that. All right, so we're gonna splice. So it's still taking 47 minutes. It's supposed to be a 2-inch keychain. There are ways, I guess, if you want to make it quicker, you can play with the setting. I'm looking at it. You see, the size is good, so we're not losing any. There's no blank spots here because we made everything nice and big with the image, so we're not having like a line that might be hidden where you have to double. So I think this is print really good. So see, this is recliner. Let's see, maybe it will show me if we change the top to Alchemy cards. Let's see how it's gonna look. See, all right. See, with the, I'm probably saying it wrong, with the Archimedes cards, see, it does like a spiral. If you want that spiral effect, let me zoom a little bit. So if you want that spiral effect when you're printing, that is what you pick. If you want it to be, what's it, recliner, let's splice it. You see how it has like the lines going across? So you could decide what you want to do. Let's see if it makes a difference with the time. So recliner is 47 minutes, 47 seconds. If we do the chords, do we save any time? Not really. It's 48 minutes. So at that point, ooh, I like how the eyes look though. See how the eyes are like, did it do that with the other one? Yeah, I like the round eyes. I might leave it as Archimedes cards, because I like how that spiral eye look. And with the mouth, let's play with this. And I like the little nose. This could work with this. And see, it's recliner in the bottom. Has an outline. Let's do it for the top and bottom. The Archimedes cards. So it'd be the bottom you might not see as much because it's printed. It comes out a little flat and smooth, but yeah, let's do this. We'll do top and bottom all the way through. We'll use the cards because you get that nice, I find it to be a nice spiral effect. So it's something you can play with. All right. So I have my printer set up. The bed is clear. It's gonna take 48 minutes. So with the magic of, oh, let's send it to print. I already have it set up to be print. Oh, and before I go to here, it didn't generate any errors. Remember I said that it gave that warning before, but it wasn't an error. Like, it still allowed you to print. It's just like, hey, you're a little close there, but it still would print. So once we splice, it didn't generate another error that there's an issue. It only said that I'm using generic filament, which I am, because remember I said the pink is not Creality Pink. It's a Sunlu pink that I'm using to do the cheeks. I was looking for a hyper PLA pink. I didn't find any from Creality, so you do what you gotta do. It still works. It prints fine. PLA is PLA. So it gives you a warning that you're not using their generic, you're not using their PLA, but it still works. It's all good. So it's good to go. So we're gonna do send print. You can either start print because it's connected, or you can send it if something else in there. And then once you finish, this is a camera. So once you finish, you can go over to your printer, get it all set up, and you just hit the options and set it to print. The bed is clear, as you can see. So I'm just gonna send it. The colors all match because we already set it up in the prepare tab. So it should print the way that we see it on the screen. I'm gonna hide that. So yeah, it's gonna be your IP. Yeah. That's gonna be your local IP that you can do your print. So I'm gonna do start. Oh, one thing to remember. I used to be like, oh, I want to save time. I don't need to calibrate every print. Calibrate every print. I was printing without calibration, and something happened when I sent the next print. It dug into my plate. I thought my nozzle was done. It was fine. But my mat was basically done because it had it wasn't calibrated. Something happened with one of the prints and it was off. So yes, I almost damaged my 3D printer by not calibrating. It is worth the wait. Calibrate before you print, please. Just a heads up from experience. So always have this on, and then we're gonna send to print. Yeah, just a warning. Make sure nothing's on there. I'm down here. It's clear. Yeah, and then we're gonna click OK. Send in, and then it's preparing. So next time you see me, we're gonna have the final product. All right. All right, here's a finished keychain. This was the side that was face down on the bed. And then here's the side that was on top. So it's not as smooth, you could see, as the part that was on the bed. If you want, you could sand this down a little bit to get it smooth, but I'm gonna leave it like that. The other options, you can see the swirls that we were talking about when we did the cards. You see it more defined on the back side, and then on the front you see everything smooth. So here's the hole that we made. This is about, these are 1/2-inch squares, so you see on the side it's about 2 inches as we had measured, and then this part was a little shorter, so the longest end was 2 inches, so it's about what we had created. I have my jump ring. Let's go with silver all the way through. So we have the jump ring we're gonna use. I have another one where I could do a swivel in between. Oh, let me get it. So this is how I make my keychains now without using the chain. So we have the swivel in between that would replace the chain. We have the jump ring, and then we're gonna assemble it like that. So let's open up the jump ring. Put it through the hole. There you go. And slide that up. You can play with it. Get it as close as you can. That's fine. Now we're gonna put in to put it through. Can be an earring, that's true. That's my husband in the background. So if you like big earrings, you could put a hook to make it like an earring. But here we are, keychain. It is big. So yeah, you could do the earring for real. So Here's our keychain from start to finish. That's the nicest side. And here's the back part. Right. The next video, I'll show you the other version where it's just one-sided. So we have this all being one. So stay tuned for that one. Comment, like, subscribe for more content like this. Thanks and have a good day.